He just runs around absolutely dunking on ring race.
I could dunk back there on
Go on, do
a
it.
basketball
You
ring right
won't.
now. I could dunk for you.
Oh
There you
my
go. I
God, look at
dunked.
him.
That's a
Right,
slam.
Michael Jordan.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Gollum's Gamers, where today we have a full crew here for a emergency pod. There has been a pretty substantial article released based on some of the emergency pods that we've done for previous articles. This one is very, very juicy indeed. It's a very big article, so we are going to get straight into things. For the audio listener, the Spotify listeners, as I call them now, I'm joined by Ash, James, and Sam. And be sure to follow us on Instagram and Spotify by following the links in the description down below. So, really big article here called the Middle-earth Strategy Battle Game Key Changes in the New Edition. So, they caught up with the lead
What?
developer to get all the details on the new edition. So, some of these things have already been discussed in a couple other emoji pods that we did on the leaks, but then there's some new things as well. So we'll go over all of that. So I guess, is there anything to take away from this bit here at the start? Not really. So heading into the
Just
first
looks epic.
sort of section here for reworked profiles. So every single profile in the strategy battle game has been reworked. Yes, every single one. Some have had very minor changes, while others have had a complete overhaul. The aim here has been to make each character or warrior feel closer to how they appear in the movies and the books. Many of the original characters lacked the kinds of special rules that more modern releases gained, and so we've taken this opportunity to give such characters their own special rules to help them better reflect how they appear on screen. So we have a look here at the profile for Aragorn. So they've said there's lots of things here that will immediately jump out to veterans of the Middle-earth strategy battle game. I guess we'll read this little bit first, and then we'll have a look at what's up here. So the first will be the characteristics. The fight value and shoot value have been separated to make them more distinct. Courage is now presented as a target number rather than a given value. This doesn't actually change much. It's still a 2d6 roll, but now instead of adding your courage to the roll, you simply have to equal or beat the target number shown. In the previous edition, miniatures with courage 6, such as Aragorn, are likely to be courage 4 plus. So it's essentially the same thing. There's also a new characteristic, intelligence, marked as I on the profile. The second thing you'll notice is that a model's keywords are presented differently, divided into 3 sections, denoting the model's race, faction, and unit type. Some models may have multiple keywords in each section depending on their character. Base size is also listed here, removing any confusion for players. So kicking things off, who wants to sort of, with having a look at the profile, what do we think on how it looks, the changes that they've made?
Why don't you go through the profile, mate, and then we can say about the changes.
Yeah, otherwise the
Well, the
listeners aren't going to know
entire...
what Aragorn's even
Well,
sure,
about.
so what, the entire profile or just the
well, why
changes?
don't you say that his stat line? Why don't you say his
Okay,
special
sure.
rules
So
or like
Aragorn Strider is 160 points. He is fight value 7 with a shoot value 3. He's strength 4, d5, 3 attacks, 3 wounds, courage 4, and a 3 plus intelligence value. He has 3s across the board with his might, will, and fate. He has the man keyword for his race. For faction, he has the fellowship and Dunedain keywords, I guess. Unit types are hero, infantry, and unique, and he is on a 25 mil base. So his wargear, he has the Ring of Barra here and a hand and a half weapon. So the ring is a unique piece of wargear. Whenever Aragorn is affected by a magical power after any resist tests have been made, if able, he may roll a d6. On a natural 6, Aragorn is not affected by that magical power. That sounds very familiar to Ed Ball's rule at
steadfast determination.
determination. Shout out to Ed. The heroic actions, I believe, are all the same because he had loads before. So
I've literally got Aragorn's profile up now, so I can
He had every
cross-reference.
heroic action before, so he still does.
yeah, so it
He
looks like
still
he's
has all
got
of them.
every single one.
Interestingly, these are in alphabetical order, whereas in the other profile, they're just random, which is quite funny.
That's a good change, I guess.
Good job, GW.
Yeah. So the options. So he's got Andrew for 40 points, Brego for 20 points, which is the horse, which they talk about a little bit further down. Armor for 5 points, a bow for 5 points, and Elven Cloak for 5 points, which sounds the same. Anduil looks to be exactly the same. And then special rules, he has Horse Lord, Mighty Hero, and Resistant to Magic.
There we go.
Holy balls. So now I will hand over to the panel. What do you guys think?
So I guess the key thing I'm taking away already is when it mentioned earlier on that the profiles are going to be more reflective of the books and the films, and you can see this immediately with Aragorn, right? Because in the films he just runs around absolutely dunking on ring wraiths like it's easy. So now he's got resistance to magic and
I
an
do. I
extra
could
resistance to
literally
magic rule,
dunk.
right?
I could dunk back there on
Go on, do
a
it.
basketball
You
hoop right
won't.
now. I could dunk for you.
Oh
There you
my
go. I
God, look at
dunked.
him.
That's a
Right,
slam.
Michael Jordan.
That's a
That
slam
was
dunk.
epic. And it's
Bobby.
just, I guess, I just think that this is already set. Maybe it's foreshadowing that
Oh.
lots of epic heroes are going to have even more resistance to magic.
Yes, I like that they've
Let's
shown us
go.
that
Great change.
straight away. Yeah. I guess should we maybe talk about the horse because that's like part of the profile? Should we scroll down to that bit?
Let's keep on Aragorn to start,
Sure.
like his stats to start with, because obviously fight 7 immediately,
Yeah,
pretty
and they
epic,
talk about the
right?
five value a little bit further down as well and how they've scaled it out, and yeah, they've sort of
Yes, they do.
in a bit more detail. I like the
83
rule about the steadfast. So he's got resistance to magic and the steadfast determination.
and steadfast, yeah,
Yeah,
which is pretty. So
that
effectively,
is
he
cool.
gets one resistant dice, and then effectively get 2 dice to see if he can get that 6, which is quite a lot of the time he's going to resist.
It's another L for magic users.
Here's
So
another
far
L for magic
in
users.
this edition.
Um,
Yeah, I
can anyone
really
remember
like
what?
the addition, sorry, of the base size. That's really cool. What that means is for models profiles they haven't released models of, there are going to be definitive base sizes. I assume that's going to be in everything in the game. It might finally put the white warg debate to rest. I hope I fell on the
Yeah,
right side of that. But yeah, there's going to be, all kinds of profiles that they never release models for, where we'll officially know their take. So that's really good. Anything else on this before we move on?
it's interesting
I guess the
to see that
faction.
Aragorn's
Sorry.
intelligence
Yeah.
is better than his courage.
Yeah, the intelligence stat being 3, so you're passing that every single time but once, right? So,
Yeah, every you're only
so
failing it
unless you
one
roll
in
a
every
snake eyes,
36 times.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he's basically passing that every time.
He's hella intelligent.
He is going to pick up the relic if he
He is a
needs to.
scholar.
Especially if that is mightable. He's mighty hero, so it means he can
Yeah,
like
literally never
I don't
fail.
know I don't know why. Looking at the current edition book, there's an asterisk next to mighty hero. I don't know why there's not one here. I quite like those asterisks. They made me feel good about getting a free point of might and turn. I don't know why they've got rid of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
anything.
yeah.
What's that?
Although I don't want magic to be really good, I don't want it to be useless.
Sam's now
yeah.
looking at this going.
I don't.
Oh,
I think. Well, you just
Sam's
basically given
crying in
him.
Angmar.
You've given him 2 free resistance. Like if he just had resistant anyway, that's fine. But having the extra thing as well, it is only a 6.
Yeah, it's a
Unlikely.
natural 6 as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So it is not likely. However,
okay.
I don't know. I don't want it to swing too far in the other direction because otherwise it will just be big hero go big hero versus each other. Oh, my big hero
Big
win. I
hero.
win the
Yeah,
game.
there's no way to kind of like
Yeah.
And like Ed put it in at 1,000 points because at 1,000 points you're likely to pay a lot more magic. Well, you could take Aragorn at 600. So if you invest
Yeah.
in a spellcaster, well, now that spellcaster is probably doing nothing.
Also, do we know resistant to magic is going to be the same? Because
Well, yeah, I
Fortify
guess-
Spirit was 1 extra dice, if I'm correct, in the new rules.
Yeah, it
Was
is.
that part of
So
the-
surely resistant to magic will not also be the same.
That may explain
That's a very
why.
good point, James.
Because I think if you're giving, I think it's worse on Aragorn because he's got mighty hero. Like when you have resistant
Yeah.
plus a free might point, like that is really really good to resist stuff consistently.
What's
So
the-
yeah.
with the
I
link,
think
sorry,
something
was that
fun
for the
to-
special rules or was that only for magic?
It was just
For
the
magic, it was
magical
Fortify
powers.
Spirit was
Magic,
just
wasn't it?
1
Yeah.
dice
So we don't know
extra.
about resistant. Yeah, sure.
So resistant to magic could potentially be something along the lines of you get +1.
Plus 1.
That would be
Do you-
so OP.
Maybe a
this model.
reroll.
Yeah,
But would it be
reroll.
OP though? Because you've only got 3 will points. So once you've resisted 3 spells.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That means you
might-
could roll a 5.
Wait, no.
Oh, I've got my point back.
To be fair, yeah, if
Yeah, would it
Fortify
count?
is now only one free
Yeah.
price, there's no way that is what resistant is. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It could be, but
Also,
I'd
a
be
very
surprised.
little thing. It's just where it says unit type and unique. I like that. It's just much clearer for those
Yeah.
other smaller heroes where it will say non-unique or whatever, so you can take multiple of them. Just a
Yeah.
nice bit of
Yeah.
streamlining.
Yeah.
Any closing comments
Definitely.
on this before we
The
move
other
on? There's
thing,
lots to get to.
yes, me, pick me,
Closing
pick
comment.
me. The fact that his faction is only Fellowship and Dunedain, does that mean that we will no longer see like our mounted Aragorn with Rivendell Knights to get
Yeah, and
infinite heroic
anything
marches and
else.
shoots and stuff?
Mm.
If he is only with the Fellowship, and the Dunedain, does that make him like? Doesn't matter that he's really good because
Yeah, maybe
you
not.
can only take him with
But
those
from what we've
lists.
seen of new stuff, maybe heroes are stronger, so maybe those lists will be a bit more competitive.
Yeah, maybe they'll be better. Yeah,
See,
true.
look at that. That's oh God, what good
Oh,
analysis from you there, James.
lovely to
This
have you back,
guy's got an
James. It's been a few
intelligence three
months,
plus.
but
That's why
we've
everyone has missed me.
got you here today. Okay, well, moving on from Aragorn's profile. So, oh, well, now they're going to talk about the fight value. So, Aragorn's had a lovely bump in his fight value, going from 6 to 7. In this edition, we have redistributed fight values, something that fans have been asking about for a long time. There were a lot of models in the 3 to 6 range, making it quite congested. And while it still caps at 10, we've taken the opportunity to spread out the fight values in that 3 to 6 range and even a few beyond. Profiles that would have been considered to be at the top of fight value 3 will be bumped up to fight value 4, and those at the top of fight value 4 will see themselves bumped up to fight 5, and so on. So, any thoughts on the fight value redistribution before we move on?
I mean, we're going to scroll down further on and get to the Warrior of Minas Tirith.
Yeah, I think that'd
I
be more
would have not
relevant.
put
Should we talk about it
them
then?
at the top of fight value 3. So,
Yeah, so
just the
Ben,
fact that they've jumped up to fight 4 is quite. I would have
Yeah.
never put
tabled.
them at the top of fight value 3 category. It's
Neither.
quite interesting to me
Yeah.
that they are.
They are, yeah. We'll talk about that, I guess, when we get to the warrior profile. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we'll talk about Aragorn's horse then. So Brego. So they have shown the profiles. So they've said we have also looked at the war gear each character has in the movies and the books, and we have tried to incorporate signature gear into their rules. Aragorn has 2 such examples: the Ring of Brahe that we talked about before, and his horse Brego, one of many named mounts that get their own rules in the new edition. So Brego is a
that's
mount.
epic.
So there's the actual profile here. So it's move 10, fight value 2, strength 3, D4, which is normal, courage 6, and a 6 intelligence value as well. Race horse, which is cool. Faction C rider, unit type is a mount, obviously, and it says the base size. And then the special rule is sure-footed steed. So if Aragorn would be knocked prone whilst riding Brego, and Brego is not slain as a result of the effect causing Aragorn to be knocked prone, then before becoming a separated mount, Aragorn may roll a d6. On a 6, Aragorn is not knocked prone and stays mounted, and he can use might to improve that roll. So we were talking before, so where it says about a separated mount, I didn't know if maybe that meant that if he is knocked prone, the horse would stay because it's a separated mount. I didn't know if that was the case, but
Imagine if, like,
horses.
I think I've said, I don't know if I said it on the pod, but I've definitely said to Sam and James very recently, if Big Bad Boromir was running around and his horse gets killed from under him, the first thing he's going to do is run to the nearest bloke and be like, "Give me your horse." So if yeah, and the Minister of Knight's gonna be like, "Yes, Boromir, get off his horse," and now Boromir's back mounted. So if there is a
Yeah.
separated mount thing, I don't actually think this is the case. I think the separated mount is just the phrase they're using for when something's dismounted. But it would be really fun if the horse stays and then you can like remount it or change horses. I don't know. I doubt
Yeah.
that's the case, but
I also don't
it would
think
be
it is.
funny.
I think this is the case for wild riders, most likely. They're going to use this
Yeah.
term so that when they describe them, it's just consistent with actual horses as well.
I think so. I think
Yeah.
it's again that consistency of wording piece
Yeah.
that they're going for
Yeah.
as opposed to
Okay.
actually
Anyone else
reading too
think
much into it.
intelligence of 4 or 6 plus is quite high for a horse? I mean, I don't know
Horses
what that
are-
could possibly be used for, but
Yeah,
that's
horses
smarter than the
are-
Warriors of Minas Tirith.
They are pretty
Yeah.
intelligent. Yeah.
Horses are notoriously skittish. Giving them a courage of basically,
Hmm.
for courage is pretty good.
Yeah.
Beast Brego.
Beast.
Okay, well, let's move on from Brego then to the Warrior of Minas Tirith profile that they have here. So now let's have a look at a warrior they have said.
More
So,
courageous
um,
and more intelligent than
Yeah.
Forrest from Minister.
Let's go,
so
Brago.
is there? So I guess let's read this bit first, and then we'll go back up to the profile. So much of the above applies here as well. We see the model's keywords and base size, and they're getting a nice improvement to their fight value. Perhaps the main thing to point out here is the way warriors now select their war gear. The list of war gear options is presented similarly to previous editions, but a warrior may now only select a single option from the list at the given points cost. Some warriors may choose to not take any options, while others, like this Warrior of Minas Tirith, must select an option from the list provided. This has been done to ensure all models accurately represent the war gear they may carry, and so that there is no confusion mid-game. When a player looks at a model, they should be able to tell exactly what war gear the model has. So I guess going up to the profile, to recap the profile. So fight value 4. Everything else is the same across the board. The courage is the same, but they have the intelligence of 7. They have the Gondor faction keyword, warrior infantry, the same. And then in terms of war gear, they have heavy armor and a hand weapon, and then options that they can take. So they must take one of these options. And they have the warhorn and shield, a banner, a shield and spear, a bow, or a shield, so they can kind of pick, but they have to pick one, and they still have the shield wall special.
Right, these have gone up a point.
I also
right?
missed as well. Yeah, sorry,
They have.
That's what I said. So they're 8 points. So for shield and spear, they're 10 points. Was that 9 points before?
They were 9 points before. Yeah, they
So
were
I guess
7.
they are fight value 4 now, but obviously that's not the same as going up to fight value 4 in this edition. So, but it's still a bump. But yeah. So what do we think on the profile and the changes they've made?
I don't know if horses going up in points, warriors, just from the ones that we've seen going up in points, that the points values going up substantially is going to maybe force higher points level games in this new edition. Having like, if you're playing 450, for example, you might now not be able to get anywhere near as many models as you previously could.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't think it will force higher points. I think it will just be less models in general. Like the average, the whole, let me do my points level divided by 20. That might not be it anymore.
You think that makes sense.
Yeah, could just go to less models, sure.
Yeah, like instead
of
having, yeah, I think it's hard to tell whether this profile good and whether it's balanced right until you see the rest of the warriors, because to me now this looks bad as a profile.
Yeah, you don't know the value of that high value 4 though.
Exactly.
So we can't. Yeah, exactly.
I think if more stuff has gone up to fight 4 and you're paying 10 points for
then that's bad.
Basically a bad Numenorian, Black Nun, that is really bad in current. Like that is not good profile. But it just depends on what everything else is costed at. So I don't really want to say this is shit.
We can't.
I would.
Yeah.
My sort of when I think of a warrior of Minas Tirith, I think of the most bog standard shield infantry geezer. So this is my idea of like slap bang in the middle of average. And I don't know. I think he's okay. I don't necessarily think it's bad, but again, being fight 4 is obviously better than he is now, right?
Yeah. Well, we think, What do we think about the war gear changes? What do you think?
No shield, spear, banner,
getting
bow,
5
and
points
warhorn.
cheaper.
Yeah, so not being able to kind of kit out. I mean, I think the flexibility is nice. Like, you can't take a banner, spear, shield. I'm not sure what was really wrong with that. Like, I guess, you'd have to, they wanted to be like they've said, where you can look at a model and know what war gear it has. I get that. But at events and even, I guess, like local games as well, like, people would try to be WYSIWYG where you put a shield and a spear on your banner. So I'm not sure that was maybe too much of an issue. Like they're trying to lower the barrier, right? But
this is just Games Workshop mandated WYSIWYG. You won't be able to not be WYSIWYG now because all of these profiles will be what the models come as.
At 26 points on the warhorn and shield is so ugly. Is that just me? Like that looks like a typo to me.
It is, but it does look like good value.
Yeah,
it does. But that should just be
25. The warhorn's cheaper, and you get a shield. Yes.
Yeah, well, that's pretty nice.
I'm not going to lie.
This warhorn, because this model, the the warrior of Minas Tirith with a warhorn also has a shield, so it has to be like that
Now,
from
the
this
thing
new
is, though,
framing.
what about these models that, they don't come with the war gear? So, for example, High Elf Warriors, they don't come
That's
with
the
any,
one I'm thinking
they
of that
don't
could
come with
be
any
not good.
shields.
Only bit
What are you meant to do? Like, that is one of their most
D5
popular
elves.
kits.
La la
Oh
la la la
Yeah.
la
no!
la la.
they
There's
might go
shield
up to
everywhere.
have they'll have something like heavy elf armor and then be D6
Oh,
anyway.
yeah.
Lemon.
That's what
Unless they're planning to remake the kit at some point, but it seems unlikely. Like all the new releases, like the first supplement and everything, I guess, will probably tie into the film. You'd imagine. But yeah, you have to take a piece of war gear, but like they've sort of taken away certain flexibility, like no bow spear. I mean, there could be
I
some like
think
maybe
that's the big
rangers can
thing.
take bow spear, like
Yeah, I
maybe.
think not bow spear, because realistically, you're still going to max out your bows most likely in your list if
But
you
no,
can.
you can't
So
put them all at the back and then in a nice.
it just makes the actual playing the game harder essentially because I don't some people like Jay Clare would never take spears on his bows. He would always just take a block of 12 archers and that's it,
Mhm.
and he would still do well. So like that is fine, but I think people are gonna have to adapt a little bit towards it because
Yeah, of course.
people always go for the archers when they're no defense to try and break. For example, like Mordor Harad trackers, you just try kill all the trackers and then the army breaks. And same with like Iron Hills crossbows, they're always targeted. So if you want to take max of them and they're going to be D5 and no spear, it's going to be interesting to see whether people do it.
Yeah, Ashley did have his hand up first, James, so I will resort to Ashley first. Yes.
yes.
No.
I think Sam raises a very, very good point. But simply because I have some Rangers of Gondor in front of me, it's
Ooh.
going to make archer models that have spears naturally way, way, way better
Mm.
and a lot more desirable to take in your list. You, there's no elf model with elf bow and spear,
Yeah.
but Rangers of Gondor have a bow and spear naturally in their profile, so it's going to make models like that. They're now really epic.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it seems like there will definitely be changes to
Brother wasn't listening.
what who me? Who me? You're sort of lagging.
Yeah, he's just buffered. Yeah.
No, you are lagging, Ashley.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
fair
you are
enough.
lagging,
Yeah.
my guy.
You are being RoboCop right now.
Oh,
She's accusing me of being the
it's
we
because
will
on
move
my
on.
screen you are lagging.
No. Anyway, so we will move on from the Warrior of Minas Tirith profile and the war gear to looking at the intelligence characteristic. So a model's intelligence characteristic denotes how smart or cunning they are. And at times during the game, a model may be required to take an intelligence test. This works in much the same way as a courage test. So you will roll 2d6 and need to equal or beat the target number shown. Some special rules, such as trying to spot an invisible ring bearer, will require models to take an intelligence test, and monsters will need to do so when they make a hurl brutal power attack. I'm not sure if you're hurling a model, you need to be very intelligent to do that, but sure. To see where they can throw their target, there are just two examples. These are just two examples of those interactions in the game. I guess any thoughts on other things that may require an intelligence test?
We know one's the specters.
Spectres, yeah, picking up like objects in scenarios and stuff like that.
Oh yes, yeah, sure.
That monsters one is really interesting when it comes
It
to
is.
how.
I'm thinking they might revert it back to the old hurl rules if that is the case, where you can hurl in any direction. If you've already
you're
got a barrier
intelligent
to get
enough.
through it, maybe improve it.
Now,
God, that
Have
makes
we
Flying
had-
Circus so beast.
have we had
Depends how
leaks,
intelligent a fell beast is.
Yeah.
have we had leaks about hurl and how hurl works?
No.
No.
Okay, well, I do actually have some intel on how hurl
Oh.
works. I just couldn't remember if it was something that had been said in the leaks yet or not. So hurl isn't going to be any more like the line. It's going to be that you pick a model and you hurl at that specific thing. So you can basically
any
kick a
direction.
model, like over the line, say into something. So that's where you have to maybe be like intelligent to hit your target.
So what
so
do
you're
you
not-
mean?
So you're
Does it have
only
to-
hitting one other model.
Yes. So,
That is so
you
dead.
pick a target and you chuck it there, but then it would like knock the combat prone. But it's
So it's more like you're throwing a dart
Okay.
as
Like a
opposed to
targeted thing,
bowling
yeah.
a ball through
So
a
that is
line.
just
I'm gonna
my
go for that
intel,
cavalryman
but,
rather than try
that
kill some
is-
warriors.
that is how it supposedly works. So And that's where the
Hashtag
expenses maybe
don't like that.
so
Hashtag
No.
bad.
that could be wrong, but that is what I've been told. So anyway, you heard it here first, folks.
Because there's got to be a range on it, surely. I'll launch that fucking this guy all the way 24 inches over
I'm
there.
sure it's a range, yeah, but like, yeah, that's
Is he
totally
gonna?
how it works. Okay, but moving on to the priority role. So perhaps the biggest change in this edition is to the priority role. Previously, whoever won the priority role automatically had priority that turn, but winning that role sometimes felt like losing, as going first could be detrimental to your plans. Now, if you win the priority role, you may choose to take priority or to give it to your opponent. So this was part of the leaks, but I guess you guys want to give your thoughts on that?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
I like
Makes Cav good. Well, better, right?
it. It doesn't though, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah. If you consider like armies that would kite, if you consistently win priority, it's the worst thing in the world.
But similarly, if you win priority, you can say, right, you're going first, and then that
Yeah,
helps
but
you.
I feel like in nearly all the games where I've used kitey lists, inherently, I don't know why, it's just maybe it's because I don't want to win it, so I notice the ones that I win more often than
That is
not.
definitely the case.
However,
Yeah.
so many times I'm thinking, God, why the one priority here? And then it will continually do it. Like, I'll be surprised when James uses his list this coming weekend or the weekend after, whether James notices that or not, because I totally do when I use Khan. It's like, okay, all I want to do is shoot here. Oh, now I've got to go forward. I don't want to though. And it's so bad. So I don't know. It might, I think people may pick up stuff or Cav more because of it.
It gives a tiny little bit of skill in priority, and it gives a decision for a player to be made rather than having just the decision determined simply by luck. So I like the fact that you can think of lots of different tactics where, I'll just, I'll surprise, I'll give my opponent priority just because you've got a plan that maybe they haven't thought of. I just think that having the choice makes it a little bit more fun.
Or there's
I
no
think that's
plan.
a good point.
Well, there's no plan, and you give them prior, and they're then tweaking about what that you're doing, or
that might happen in your games more, Elliot.
James.
I could actually see a world where this potentially makes. I don't think it will all the time, but in high last game matches and stuff where you're playing domination and you kind of don't know whether you actually want priority and want to take the courage test or not.
Yeah,
I can imagine it actually taking potentially longer, like the choice of now whether to give your opponent priority, or you have to calculate both versions basically.
It's another
So
and
I could
then
see
also calculate the heroic move as well.
So I could actually see some issues when people are like taking too long to choose what to do and it like slow plays the game.
To be fair, some people, like, let's say they win a move off, sometimes like sit there for quite a while and think about what they're going to do, and obviously now you're adding in another layer of that, say in the last half an hour of a game. That's maybe another like 5 minutes of game time that would go in those.
I wouldn't be surprised if there was 1 or 2 games in the next year that are someone is a little bit salty, whatever, because of this change. I could actually see that, which would be hilarious.
But I guess for the benefits that the game would get from having that.
Sure.
The new thing, obviously,
That would be funny when that happens, and I'll revert back to this pod whenever it does.
So moving on then, so clear and more consistent wording. So in this edition, we have decided to rewrite everything from the ground up, ensuring that the wording for rules is simpler where possible, providing more diagrams and examples, and making sure to use consistent rules terminology throughout. So the rules haven't changed; it's just the way that they're presenting them in the rulebook. So, for example, during the move phase, you will activate each of your models in turn, during which they will be able to move and do anything else their rules permit them to do during their activation. And whilst this wording is new to Middle Earth, it is fundamentally, mechanically the same. Okay, moving to clearer and better defined wording allows us to provide greater clarity and more in-depth timing, blah, blah, blah. So that's a pretty good change, I guess, just across the board. So we head into the final part here. So other tweaks, and I've just put this in the other part, but this is a pretty big thing. So there are various other changes too. Some unit types, such as war beasts and chariots, have their own sections, making the rules clearer. On chariots, that's good, I guess. Match play scenarios have been rebalanced to all go up to 20 victory points for a greater spread of scores. There have been improvements to many of the brutal power attacks, magical powers, and special rules found within the game, as well as a few new ones, such as the dominant X special rule. So I guess to talk about the victory point spread, I guess. So because it kind of ties into as well. So it seems that in the rulebook, there's only going to be 6 match play scenarios, and it seems like with these changes, the current match play scenarios in the guide aren't going to be applicable to the new edition. So
Oh yeah,
we're gonna have,
1,000%.
so we're only going to have 6 scenarios, unless like the league maybe comes out and says, "Oh, we're going to make these changes to the scenarios so they work," because
I
we don't
think
know how long it might be until we get
Well,
a
that's
new
just TO.
play
That's
guide.
just TO discretion, though, right? If the TOs
Yeah.
want to make it,
But
thingy,
that
they
could
can
be
do it.
maybe a league thing that they say, because if there's only 6 scenarios in the game, that could be something maybe that is.
I doubt the
I
league
think
will do it.
Every event's exactly the same.
yeah, I kind of feel like the bigger point here is that Elliot, you said about you really want new scenarios, and these are effectively new scenarios because the way
Mm.
you score points in all of them
Sure.
is now going to be
Yeah.
vastly different. Sure, they might have the same
Well, the
sort of
condition,
premise
the
of
actual
the scenario.
things you score them for could be the same. It's just for different amounts.
You
Yeah,
maybe,
if a domination, it could be 3 per objective,
Exactly.
and
yeah.
then 3 and 2 for break and leader.
of course, but that's still slightly different.
Yeah,
Like,
I
it is
agree.
a new scenario. You still have to work out which is better, which things are going to be. I can't see them being, exactly the same. They're going to be different.
But like the objective, I guess, is would be the same. I think in all 6 of the scenarios that would be in the main rulebook. So, and it's just then those would be the only 6 that we would be able to use at tournaments.
Yeah, it would
I
be a
don't
shame if
hate
there
it.
were only 6.
Yeah,
But I think
so.
going up to 20 victory points is quite fun.
yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, so
Something different.
so the dominant special rule. So the model that has this rule counts as the number of models as shown in the brackets, which is what the X there is for, when working out how many models are in range of an objective in a specific area of the board, or when working out how many models have escaped the battlefield. So a model with dominant 3 would count as 3 models in range of an objective or a specific area of the board, or 3 models when working out how many models have escaped the battlefield. If a model would gain a special rule whilst in range of another model or specific area of the board, and then moves off the board, they will not gain the benefit of the special rule once off the board. So you can't run something off and get 3 models towards being run off, is what that is trying to say. If a model has 2 sources of the dominant special rule, then they use the highest value. So I guess what this means is that there are going to be ways to get the special rule through, say, like buffs, magic, or a special rule from a hero's profile that says that models get the dominant X or something rule. So what do we think on this one?
Very, very interesting.
I think this will
Probably
be
quite game changing.
Yeah, I think this will be the biggest rule that people will try and consistently add to their list. Like when people try and add bodyguard and stuff so that they avoid terror. I think this will be high on the prioritization when it comes to rules and what you want in a model.
Yeah. Also, like
definitely
when you take, in every list, you need to try and take something that's can move fast. A 10-inch moving model, be it a flyer or cav or wargs or something. Like you're going to be looking for something. Obviously, it depends how many profiles get this kind of rule. Like, is it only monsters and things like that, or are most lists going to have access to something that either has this rule or can give the rule?
Warbeast getting like 20.
Yeah, I was thinking someone like Sauron's going to have like 10.
Reading into the themey nature of this rule, it could make one of the things we think about is, Smaug can never win hold ground. All of a sudden, my brother's dominant 58, and you're like, immediately you can't win.
Yes!
This is clearly a buff to monsters, big heroes, beasts.
Kind
of our getting a buff. Yippee!
Now it does say though, it says in the little blurb sort of bit at the top, it says not every creature in Middle Earth was created equally. Is that maybe a hint that this is only going to be for monsters? I mean, I guess if you give it to heroes, then it's not really going to be that much of a buff to monsters, is it? Because then only, you can get it through your heroes. So I guess if they want to make monsters good, you only give it to monsters, and then everyone's trying to fit a monster in somehow. If you
Who
can.
would be like maybe
Seems
I
like
don't
quite a
know.
hefty buff to evil because good only have
Yeah,
eagles.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true.
Mm.
Guahir, depending if Guahir is already good, if he
His
has
dominant
his like
head.
tax reduced or something, but his dominant like Guahir is already good for getting objectives. And
Mm.
now when you
He's going to be
fly him
even
to
more beast.
you fly him to one side, kill two models, or then they can't like that is so good. Barge as well. If Barge stays the same, even better. If Barge changes, this might be
Be its
worse.
counterbalance.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if
I
you have
kind
a
of think
troll that's like, dominant 3 or something, whatever it's going to be, we don't know how it's going to, work with the scale.
how high it's going to go.
Yeah, as the opponent, usually you could just put one model on an objective and it's yours. But now you've maybe got to dedicate 3, 4 models to go and sit there in case the troll can get there. Because if you only send one, well, as soon as the troll goes there, well, you may as well have none there. So
It's also gonna what I'm thinking is going to be quite fun is that it's going to give you a choice between like, oh, I want to take a wild warg because they're fast moving, but they're not dominant. They're just a regular model. Or
yeah,
I could take a slow moving cave troll that's dominant 3, like which
yeah,
it's going to give you a choice. Whereas obviously in this edition, it's obvious you take a warg or a bat swap because everything's the same.
Yeah.
I don't think this dominant thing is going to go above 10, personally.
yeah. Surely not.
I'd be
No, 10
surprised
would
if it was above 10.
even 10's quite crazy,
Even
right?
10's pretty ridiculous, yeah.
That's what I mean.
I
Like,
think 1 to 3 is going to be the majority, maybe 1, 5, or 10.
Hmm.
yeah,
I think it
could
might only be 1 to 5, realistically. If we
Because I
think
could see if
troll,
someone like Smaug or Sauron is on an objective, they should own
Yeah.
that.
yeah,
Yeah,
That's the only reason I'm thinking like the big fuckers may
That's what I
have.
mean. There'd only be like 1 or 2 of them that are up at
maybe
that level.
yeah, maybe
But the
like
majority,
4.
1 to 3, I think.
Yeah,
yeah,
I wonder
agreed.
I wonder if it is to 10. How what distinguishes like why what would a Felbeast be like 4, but then an Eagle 6, or would they be the same? Whereas a troll rank is a troll scarier than a
but
troll
if
more
you have a
dominant?
troll, let's say you have like a 70-point troll that's say dominant 6 or something like that. If you have 5, say, regular infantry models on an objective, I guess like at that point you're maybe then sort of devaluing the value of those 5 models because no matter what they do, they can't, stand up to the monster, right? Like they're sort of
Yeah, but if you have these bigger heroes which are stronger now, they're going to be much more effective at taking out things like trolls.
to take them out, sure. So
Yeah,
But also, if we were saying earlier, the models are increasing in points, there's going to be less models, so the dominant models will be way more effective.
yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
If that is the way it goes, yeah, sure.
I would kind of my thinking would be trolls dominant 3, eagles dominant 3, and then you've literally got Smaug and Sauron dominant 5, and if it's 10 now, that will genuinely be
Yeah, that does
crazy.
really bump it. Yeah.
Yeah, but we've already seen what the Hill Tribesmen, they're 2 if they have that flaming brand torch thing,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good
So-
point.
And they were what, like
Oh.
7 points?
Yeah.
So you got like 10 of them, you're just winning all the objectives.
Yeah, maybe it is.
Yeah, no, that's a very good. I don't know
James has been
anymore.
watching the emergency pods right there. He knows the stats. So
Something
yeah,
which I
What's that?
again bit would have been interesting. However, Magic is a little bit more sad. This is a passive rule. If you could have transfixed something and this had not happened, would have been interesting for Magic users when it comes to objective. However,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that would have
guess
been good.
are you very dominant if you're transfixed? Probably
No.
not.
I don't think so.
You've
But
got
it
I
is
think we should
passive,
have
aura.
this rule changed to active.
so does that again is Magic can't really do a whole lot.
Sadness.
You
You
can
can still
from
compel
Magic.
this guy.
We can still
Compel him
move
off.
people off objectives, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
compel him away, I guess. You just can't then murk him instantly.
he
Um,
doesn't
So
need to
you
be
need to
merged
put
if he's
your
off the objective.
crawling vine things on the objectives.
Oh,
Wither is it Worthing or I don't know.
Writhing vines.
Writhing.
riding
That's it.
vines.
You have been right.
Teams.
Okay, well, that will leave it there for the dominant special. And then finally, a teaser here at the end. Come back later in the week when we'll break down how army building works in the new edition.
Oh,
We may even show a few teasers of some of the army list. I'm going to have a busy emergency podcast week here.
that's going to be
That
probably
is
the
exciting
most
news.
exciting thing that's dropped so
No
far, isn't it?
leaks on that. Yeah,
This
that's been kept in house.
the problem is that this could with the community and stuff, this could be the biggest flop if it is
Yeah,
what
this could be a
some
huge
people
make or
think.
break moment.
Yeah, like if this genuinely has it's so restricted and has no flexibility whatsoever, people
Some people are
will,
going to be upset. Yeah.
yeah.
We've already
I'll be
seen
one
that
of
there's more lists, right, in all the books from the numbers they
Yeah.
gave us.
Yes. Yeah.
And we've seen that you can be more than one faction too.
Mm.
I hope it. I'm optimistic. I don't think it will
I
be as
wonder
restrictive as
whether
I'm gonna
with
be
the
optimistic
Aragorn,
yeah.
the Aragorn thing though, I wonder whether this isn't so much like these are the factions he's a part of, but more like the keywords. Because like at the moment, doesn't he have like the Fellowship keywords and like also the Dunedain or Ranger?
Luckily, I have the book open right here, so we can
It
It
double
does
check.
say keywords normally, but here it does specifically say faction.
Yeah,
So
yeah, but
I think it's going to be, if you want to take a Doomsday list, you can take Aragorn in the list, or
yeah, or you could take him in a fellowship list.
and that's it. That's
It would
what
be.
I think it
That
may
was
be.
my first thoughts looking at this as well.
I don't know if I'm gonna be optimistic until it's really bad, and then I'll be sad. However,
It's
Yeah.
really bad.
until it is really bad.
I,
But
I,
they're
I,
so
it's so hard to judge. It's so
Yeah.
hard to judge.
just if they're thinking of the films right, Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli, they meet so many different
True.
Yeah, so maybe we're going to see
things
that
throughout
in
the
some of
story.
the things.
Yeah,
There'll be a
maybe.
lot of different options in some of these lists.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, well, that is probably going to close us out there. So there should be another spicy emergency pod coming at some point this week. But let us know your thoughts. What do you think on the changes? Are you a fan of the dominant special rule? What do you think about the changes in Aragorn's profile? Let us know what you think. But that is going to close out. Unless anyone has any final comments. So you have something on the tip of your tongue.
Yeah, you'd have to scroll down. There was something I had, but it doesn't matter. It's
What was that? Go.
not that important.
No? Okay. We will leave
I think it was to do with intelligence. I was just thinking in my head, we've only got very, very limited intelligence tests so far, and I don't know if that's going to be really expanded when the rules
What
come out,
else
or if it's
is gonna be?
because why would they
I
create a
hope
whole
so,
brand
because
new
it feels a little bit
stat?
obsolete
Yeah,
otherwise.
it has to be.
Yeah, that's because we could only think off the top of our head specters, relics.
Mm.
There was another
Every
two
Pale
I was
bearers, yeah,
in the
that's
article.
it.
I can't think of any more.
Yeah,
It's
it's like
Spectres-
every
it's
profile
got-
in the game. So
With Spectre's relics, but Hurl and the other one.
Ring bearer.
Yeah, that can't be it. Those are all so niche. There's got to be something else that isn't there yet, which
maybe they'll keep
I
something close to the chest.
would like to see some speculation in the comment section.
Well, on that note, then I think that will close us out for this emergency pod. So thank you very much, everyone, for watching another emergency podcast from the Gollum's Gamers.
Yippee!